Om connected to. Monks Chavasi Dokra.
Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Refuge in the Triple Gem. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Welcome, dear Sangha. I am Bhante Warapanyo, and this is Free of You and Free of Me. Listening to a great teacher recently, they expressed the difficulties they had in their community where someone who came for help got stuck on an idea of them, the teacher. And because they could not let go of their idea of the teacher, they could not see the teacher. They could not experience the teacher. They could not follow the teacher. And in some cases even became aggressive or violent against the teacher. Changing is the nature of any phenomena, whether it is material or physical, or whether it is in the realm of name, the realm of symbol. There have been many mistakes made in people attempting to follow or attempting to have success in the spiritual path, especially concerned with Buddhism. Many people have misunderstood the teachings of the Buddha as a system of belief in which to be grafted onto one's life or one's self. While we cannot say that there is not a Buddhist philosophy, and we cannot say that there is not a Buddhist religion, and we certainly cannot say that there are not practices with effects that Buddhism emphasizes, what we must say, what we must understand if we wish to develop in some way rather than just stay the way we are, is that Buddhism is a way of action leading to freedom from cause and effect, leading to freedom from the view that you or I or we are someone or something in particular, that there could be or that there is in you or in I or in we something that remains unchanging. You and I and we are changing in such a way that the ideas that appear about you or I or me are illusory in nature already. They are illusory before arising, and they are non-existing after departing, after passing away. The lack of success by members of this community, the lack of success in the Buddhist community whether it be monks or nuns or lay people, the lack of success is because of a lack of practice of generosity. What does generosity look like? What does generosity sound like? What does generosity feel like? Now, these questions can only be asked just in the same way that we can only really talk about Buddhism in the way that the Buddha talked about Buddhism when we are practicing seriously. And to practice Buddhism seriously is practice all parts seriously, not to fixate on one part of Buddhism or one part of the path of Buddhism. To fixate onto one part of the path of Buddhism is to not be practicing Buddhism seriously, but more so to be reifying your habits, reifying the reliance upon yourself, or the understanding that you are most familiar with already. That is also it. But there is, for practical purposes, there is a bit of a difference for practical purposes, like a tool, between reading what the Buddha said and understanding what the Buddha said. And there is a difference between understanding what the Buddha said and realizing the mind of the Buddha. Buddhism and the teachings of the Buddha are not about understanding what the Buddha said or what the Buddha talked about. The Buddha did not teach understanding. The Buddha taught how to realize what is already, or how to realize the truth, how to realize the supreme enlightenment. And if we look at our world, if we look at ourselves, which is a kind of word for the body-mind situation, what we find is we're not very advanced. That we tend to have a fractured relationship with peacefulness or contentment in our own life. And specifically, a strong sign is that we have a lack of, a perceivable lack of efficacy concerned with helping people and concerned with building community. Community in general, but, community concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha as well. So, when we are extremely morbidly obese, how do we approach that? That is to say, when we have significant physical health issues that are accessible to deal with, possible to deal with. Well, what we don't do is fixate on the idea of ourselves being skinny or being healthy, even though that is possible. What we don't do is get up from the couch that we have almost become fused to, that our skin has almost become fused to the fabric of the couch because of how morbidly obese we are and how long we've just been sitting in one particular place. We don't peel ourselves off of that and then start to sprint. We also do not approach it by attempting to starve ourselves. There's nothing wrong about not eating. In fact, our attachment to eating is a big problem for a lot of people, regardless of their physical weight or their physical health. So when we examine our here is talking about kind of body and mind conglomerates, or the coming together of many causes and conditions to bring about an appearance of a physical human body and also a mental body. When we hear once again that conglomerate of causes and effects leading to what we call the mind-body. When we look at this and we see that our efficacy in helping people and our efficacy in building community and our sustainable relationship with a sense of peacefulness and contentment is fractured, we need to start with where the Buddha expressed for us to start in the very nature of how the Buddha lived his life. Great wisdom, supreme enlightenment, is sustained through generosity, and in fact the generosity of others. The Buddha taught and the Buddha lived because of the willingness of people to be generous. The supreme enlightenment of the Buddha is sustained by and through generosity. The Sangha is sustained through generosity. The Dhamma is sustained and was expounded through generosity. The Buddha is a living example of why generosity is important. Generosity as a teaching is the passing away of the body of the Buddha. For the body of the Buddha only exists through generosity. Without generosity, and in Pali this word is a dana, then there is no Buddhism. There is no supreme enlightenment. There is no wisdom. Without generosity, wisdom is not possible. There are certain circles of spiritual communities, and many of them are Buddhist, that consider meditation is enlightenment. Or they consider that which is very strange, but this is a big situation that we have in spiritual communities, consider that the ideas about enlightenment are enlightening in and of themselves. Ideas about anything in particular do not pertain to enlightenment, or that which is not bound, certainly not by anything. So why do we find in our society, our global society, and why do we find that in our spiritual circles in America and in the Western world, there is such a lack of opportunity to be generous, to show up and to give, to show up and to share, to show up and to offer? We may think that there is some problem with the community that itself, or that there is some problem with the tradition itself, or the philosophy or the practice of that tradition. But in fact, it is an issue that we do not understand, that supreme enlightenment, supreme freedom, quote unquote, getting everything that you want, it's just a tool, is reliant upon your capacity, your willingness, and your engagement with generosity. So what is generosity? What is giving? What is offering? What is sharing? What is helping? What is serving? Is generosity a transaction? Is it generosity when you buy a cappuccino? Is it generosity when you do your best to get what you want? Is that generosity? Is that dana? Is it dana? Is it serving? Is it helping when you show up somewhere to get what you want from that place? Is telling people what you want to tell them about, or telling people what you think is important for them to believe in, generosity. Is putting food in the bowl of a monk, or rather, let's say, is putting food in the bowl of the Buddha, generosity. What does generosity feel like? What does it sound like? What does generosity seem like? Well, there is a model that we have in Buddhism of donating money and donating possessions, donating land, donating properties, donating vehicles, donating clothing and basic necessities to the Sangha, to the community of monks and nuns. And up to now, this is how we have established Buddhism in a large variety of countries, such as Myanmar, Thailand, Mongolia, many other places as well. And in Tabarwa, we are looking to do this as well. When you donate to Tabarwa, you donate for all. That is the mission, that is the trust of the Tabarwa organization and Sayadaw Otamasara. In Myanmar, for example, there are well over 100 meditation centers under the tradition of Tabarwa. Here in Italy, we have 2 properties. We have maybe 2 cars here. We have a property in America and looking to make another one. We are developing properties in India. We have 2 in Malaysia, 1 in Japan, 2 in Japan. But we, as a Western influenced person, we've kind of been taught that we have a capacity to do it ourselves, right? We have a capacity to become enlightened by ourselves. We have a capacity to become wealthy by ourselves. We have a capacity to understand Buddhism or understand spirituality by ourselves. And this is a really problematic culture that we have, this American culture. It is systematically problematic. Now, problems are where solutions come from. The greater the problem, the greater the solution has a potential to be. But this culture that is overlaying the general sense of grasping that goes along with ignorance or avijja is a really big problem. Because when we fundamentally, psychologically, and culturally are taught to rely on ourselves, we are unable to take refuge, and we are also unable to be generous. If you want to understand Buddhism, let alone if you want to have a realization of non-self, anatta, or what we are really interested in Buddhism, the Arya Sangha, then we have to detach from ourselves. We have to detach from our own understanding. That is, to rely on the understanding of the other. To rely on the understanding of the master. To rely on the understanding of the monk. A simple formula. Keep common sense involved, but rely on the understanding of the other. And as you do that, you will be able to see the cracks in the self-view. Your perception will brighten, and then you can find a better teacher. You can find a better monk, one that is more suitable for you on one hand, but on the other hand, a monk or a teacher that is more enlightened than the one you know about, more ecologically informed as well. But we've become cloistered in this modern era. We've become locked into our amenities. We've become locked into our car, and we've become locked into our possessions. We've become locked into our home. We've become locked into our own way of doing things, our own way of thinking about things. If you ask me what to do, for most people that I encounter, they should make arrangements to donate their properties to Barwa. And they should abandon their life to become a monk or a nun. Now, Tabarwa here is a representation of original nature. That's what Tabarwa means. And it's not about Tabarwa just in the same way that it's not about you in particular. You know, and sometimes we need to wait for an earthquake to find that out. But sometimes we don't have to wait. And this is most people, not all people. And most people are not as generous as they could be, so it's not clear what their situation is, which is all the more reason that they will get the great benefit from donating their land or donating their properties donating their possessions, donating their vehicles, etc. Generosity is a practical methodology for learning how to untangle the knots within. And not just the tension in the body, but also the tension in the mind. And it is what the Buddha taught us to do through how the Buddha lived his life. The Buddha did not start a garden. Do you think that the supremely enlightened one, with many followers and supporters, cannot garden? Cannot make a home for himself? Cannot prepare food for himself? So through the very way that the Buddha lived his life, he expounded upon the necessity and the essentialness of generosity, of donating to supreme enlightenment and to the sustainability of supreme enlightenment. If we look at the traditional structure in which the Buddha gave his approval for the Sangha, what we find is that the Sangha, which is a facet of the Triple Gem, a very important facet of the Triple Gem, cannot exist without generosity. So if the core of what the Buddha taught and expounded upon and established through the way of his path cannot exist without generosity, cannot exist without dana, cannot exist without making donations, do you think that it is less important than something else? Now there tends to be a franticness that comes up when we start to understand how important generosity is. But the confusion here is believing that that franticness has something to do with generosity. That franticness has to do with attachment. And your inability to detach, which is prajna wisdom, is why generosity is being encouraged. If you could detach, then generosity would be a way of being that does not grasp onto itself or onto anything else, but not in the way that you think about it. So you can't kind of get over on me with you when we talk about this. Because the you is at the core of this grasping. The you notion, or I do it like this, I'm being generous to everything, I'm living generosity, is the you that cannot get over on me because of a lack of a capacity to detach from the self-view. We can say a lack of faith, but this problem I just spoke about is stemming from a belief or a faith. So it is a lack of realization, which is also correlated to a lack of engagement or a lack of seriousness about it. Now, when we talk about dana or when we talk about generosity, there is another attempt for you to get over on me, and that is the attempt of idealism. And there is often a misinterpretation of that idealism that generosity has something to do with you or something to do with me. So let's take the you and the me out of it and look to another you and another me, such that we recognize that the excuses for not being generous are our attachment, are our grasping, not an explanation, and certainly nothing to do with efficacy about helping people. Our lack of willingness to make donations, our lack of willingness to practice generosity regularly, is the grasping onto me and you. The grasping onto the self-view, which is primarily what we are here to root out. And it's not frantic. Making donations is not to be done in a frantic way, because the nature of generosity is also the nature of what we call free will. Generosity is an expression of freedom from grasping. That is why in most Buddhist communities, when a Sangha member, when a layperson, when a student of the teacher makes a donation, it's put on a wall. It's advertised. People are told about it. It's celebrated. The fact that this layperson or this nun has made a large donation to the teacher or to the Sangha, the wider community, because the teacher is simply a part of the Sangha, of the community. The teacher does not exist independently. People are told about it. It's celebrated. It's recognized as being wholesome, as being worthwhile to do. And it's expressed or brought up not only to appreciate that person or that act of generosity, but also to encourage more and greater actions of generosity. So all these lay people are donating money, but the monks, they're just sitting there, eating out of their bowls, lazy, sometimes fat. They've got a computer, they've got a phone. Who the hell do they think they are? But what we don't understand is that generosity frees us from self and other. True generosity, real generosity. And true generosity is not about buying something or buying into something, such that you cannot get scammed when you practice generosity. Generosity is scam-free. It is not possible for you to get scammed in practicing generosity. Just in the same way that it is not possible for a monk to get scammed by letting go of their fixation on sexual desire as being so important. But we live in contexts. Me only exists in a context. You only exist in a context. So rather than rejecting you and me, or rejecting the context, we exploit the you and me. We exploit the context. To do what? To free that which is from itself. to free the context from the context by using the context, to free the you, to free the me by using the you and me, limitlessly, enduriously, voraciously, seriously. And when we do this in the context of refuge, in the context of not relying on our own understanding, then we will be safe. Because our own understanding is self-fixated. Our own understanding is polluted by, conditioned by the wrong view. It's conditioned by a sense of inherent fracturedness, of accessibility to peace or contentment. But the view of the Master or the mind of the Buddha is not like that. And the mind of the Buddha is stronger than the mind of the person with the greatest mental health issues. Far, far stronger, far, far more powerful. So our relationship with the Sangha, our relationship with the monk life meditation community, our relationship with Tabarwa, and what we get back from that relationship will be as much as we give. It will be as much as we offer. You can't get back more than you give. It's impossible. Not because the resources are not there for you to receive, but because your cup is full of grasping. And until you begin to take the realistic steps, the practical steps, the high-paying job steps, to give and to offer and to practice doing good deeds seriously, with all your skills, with all your heart, with all your individuation that you rely on to have gotten up to this point in this society. You have to give it away. You have to offer it. Because the degree to which you offer it, the degree to which you give it away, the degree to which you share it, that's how much you can get back, period. And a lot of people don't understand this. In that they feel that generosity is an action that they do. When in fact, generosity is an action that breaks the chains that hold everything to you, that bind everything, everything, everything that is not anything, that is not even everything to you, to the me, to the self. You cannot be a skillful teacher if you don't develop a serious relationship with generosity. Why have I, we've got a little bit of a construct here to use as a tool, why have I, go ahead, looks like we have a question here, and you can ask questions. But you need to speak. Yes, Sonia.
It was Danny that was asking a question. He asked, does generosity also mean donating of myself and my action, or is it more about materialistic generosity?
Good, very good. So you need to look at what is more important to you right now. So for most people, money is more important to them than anything. Now, if you ask them about that, they'll say, "No, I am generating the spirit of generousness all the time. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't be able to believe it." Right? When you talk to them about money, that's what they'll say. So, if you are serious about the life that you're living now, you should be willing to examine it. and look at it closely. So what is most important to you, practically, in the daily life, the weekly life, the monthly life? Donate that. As much of it as you can with common sense. And the uniqueness of money is that there's so much money. I mean, there's money is not a real thing in the way that we think money is a real thing. Money is more like a system of power. So donate as much power as you can while maintaining the reasonable power that you do have. And donate it concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. We'll start there. But the bigger picture is that your money is worth less to you than your body and mind. So even if your body and mind were or were not more valuable to the Sangha or more valuable to the community of those on the path to enlightenment, for sure, right? It would still be more about what's more valuable to you and giving that. Because it's not about fleshing out or hashing out some kind of system in the world. It's not about that, but that is an effect of this, what I'm talking to everyone about. Next question, Sonia, you can read it.
Sorry, I might. What about people who seek to take advantage of generosity?
What about them? I mean, this is just the self-delusion that keeps us so selfish and holds up the self-view. What about the people in Palestine? What about the people in Israel? What about the people in the hollow earth? What about the people in the Illuminati? Etc., etc. What about the people who are currently, and we can get very serious and dark about this, right? Or we can get very serious and bright about this. But it's about you. It's about your selfishness. It's about how selfish you are, the you. It is inherently selfish. So the work of generosity, the work of making donations is not about you and it's not about other people. It is about releasing, grasping onto that which you do grasp.
Bhante, can I answer something about this? And I want to ask you also a question.
So you'll provide an answer, is that right?
Well, I feel that you are, how do you say that, very criticize about all of what of us, and I feel some people in our Sangha are generous and do little things as they can, so sometimes maybe we should reconfort those actions, and then the other will follow. Like by example?
No, sorry, you don't understand about generosity.
Okay.
Generosity is the spiritual practice to lead you to the other shore. Generosity is the practice that you do to go further on the path. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with this community as far as it has to do with your personal practice. So you are offended because you don't practice as seriously as you could. Now, I am aware that I could practice more seriously than I do. So if someone told me that, I could be more generous, or I could practice meditation more, or I could study the Dhamma more, I would say, yeah, you're right. That's what I'm trying to do. So as a lay people, and as monks, as anyone, everyone, the practice of generosity is what you should do more of to develop on the path. You understand?
I understand. Absolutely, I do understand. I don't know why you think I don't.
Well, you and I are both empty of each other, inasmuch as we are empty of ourselves. So there are a lot of constructs that are used to understand how to move forward, how to go from here to there. But here and there are just illusions, appearances in the mind. Okay?
That's true.
But this is a Buddhist community, and we're talking about the practical models for continuing on the path. And we can also say, because, I am, for example, a compassionate person, if I'm a person, which I'm not, I want people to feel better as well. Because most of the people who are listening to this right now believe that they are people, believe that they are someone. So what is the best thing for someone to do? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about from the Buddhist position, what is the best thing for someone to do? The best thing for someone to do, if they want to feel better, and feeling better here in relationship to progress on the path, all right, is doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. Okay?
Yeah.
But mindfulness can be obscure, and detachment is quite deep, quite a deep concept. So what I emphasize is for people to do more good deeds. But because good deeds can be too easily co-opted by the ego, and because we don't exist in a system in which doing good deeds is like accessible and presented to us, especially doing good deeds concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, what I'm telling people to do is to do more actions of generosity.
Absolutely, but do you understand that we are still like little baby in this new path? We are not enlightenment, so sometimes we have to feel loved, even if we're not perfect, even if we're not enlightenment. Love makes us being more generous.
Well, I think that generosity is love. I think that generosity is an expression of love. And
exactly. But as we are not generous, we are also generous, Bhante.
No, you cannot be generous. That's why this is the interference point. The notion that you could be generous. Generosity, or the actions of generosity, is breaking the chains of you. It's breaking the chains of the self-identity.
But you're talking about people, so I'm responding as a people, as a person, because I cannot do like telepathy, but my mind is connected with yours. I can understand what you're saying, but I'm still little people in my body, and I'm a human, incarnated, and I'm responding with my heart. So I would like to hear more love when I speak from you. I don't feel love.
Well, what you have to understand, dear one, is that the body and the mind that you are identifying with, okay, is really painful. Yes. It's not going to be easy. It's not.
I know that.
And it won't continue to be easy, and it won't begin to be easy.
Yeah, but just listen to something. I want to respond exactly for that sentence. My life has been difficult till I'm born. So I cannot hear when you say general things about, like, if I would think my life would be easy. I have been fighting all my life. So sometimes it's too general to do, like, if everyone are lazy, everyone are not generous, everyone has idea of life will be easy. I'm not like that. And I also know other people that are not like that. So we would like you to talk to us too. Also, we exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Everyone unmute your microphones. I'm sure you know this one. And we've got the hand motions too, right? Let's do it together. Breathing in. Breathing as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. Any request? Breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are blue skies and water, there are birds, sunshine and fresh air. Breathing out, I feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island.
That was beautiful, thank you.
Now, dear Sonia, do you understand that we're still using some models, and we may change that a bit. In the future, our models are changing. But do you understand that your expression was a great act of generosity that empowered me to help?
Thank you.
Yes, dear one. Please.
I appreciate a lot because I wanted to tell that for a long time, and I could not feel when I could say it. So it was the right moment, I think, on this.
So let's take a short commercial break. Let's gather our bearings, and then we will continue into the unknown together, okay? And I'll invite everyone here on Discord to go over to the YouTube channel, and we'll continue there. And also, there's an option right now on our Discord server for a community silent meditation that will be going on for about probably another 30 minutes. So welcome to join there as well. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Blessings.
Thank you.
We'll be back after a short commercial break and a few words from our sponsors. One moment, friends on YouTube. We'll get into our commercial. This is going to be a great commercial, so please bear with me a moment.
day the kingdom of heaven held a festival for thousands of stars. I went up to the kingdom, knelt down and prayed that the anguish, the killing, the disaster in our poor land would end. Where have you been, little star? I've been looking for you everywhere, out of my window, among the dark clouds. Where have you been, little star? I feel so forlorn, like a small bird lost on a foggy island. It has been raining for nights, late night on the sidewalk. I see the silhouette of lonely red forms. I try to call your image from deep in my consciousness, while the rain and the wind continue to rage. Tonight as I bend over my desk, my head in my two hands, the wind has carried all the clouds away. The sky is clear, the rain has stopped, longing for your call. I'm surprised to see you there, you have returned, little star.
I've been looking at the stars in the distance. I've been looking in my heart for resistance. I've been searching in the self for existence. All alone by myself, reminiscing underneath the Bodhi tree. But it isn't only me, you and I, collective energy. How it's supposed to be. I hope to be the ocean tide with my spirit open wide, standing on a mountaintop, see the world with open eyes.
I was so surprised to know that I'm a part of this. Sunrise, sunset, rain clouds, all of it. The journey of awakening, taking it with one step, one breath. Save all beings till there's none left. Suffering is painful, but I'm still the same fool, searching for the river while I'm swimming in the same pool.
Maybe we can find it, keep the light shining, walking on the path of ancestors behind me. If you could be the person who you are in your heart,
Would you grow a little bit?
or would you play a bigger part?
Love is a paintbrush, life is the biggest art, and I'm still the same kid, wishing on a little star. Love is a paintbrush, life is the biggest art, and I'm still the same kid, wishing on a little star.
Little star, I've been looking for you everywhere, out of my window, among the dark clouds. Where have you been, little star? I feel so forlorn, like a small bird lost on a foggy island. It has been raining for nights, late night on the sidewalk. I see the silhouette of lonely red forms. I try to call your image from deep in my consciousness, while the rain and the wind continue to rage. Dear little star, you have been through the storms, rain and wind. For how long and on what strange land have you been weeping? You've come back, your little body still shivers with cold, with tears in your eyes. You recall you've been praying for our homeland. strong faith. You are like flowers blooming everywhere.
May the sound of this bell penetrate deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them cease, understanding come to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. Nguyện người nghe tình thức vượt thoát nẻo đau buồn. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child appears in the heart of a lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers. Nghe chuông phiền não tan mây khói, lặng thân an miệng mỉm cười. Hơi thở nương chuông về chánh niệm, vườn tâm hoa tuệ xinh tươi. Listening to the bell, I feel the afflictions in me begin to dissolve. My mind calm, my body relaxed. A smile is born on my lips. Following the sound of the bell, my breath brings me back to the safe island of mindfulness. In the garden of my heart, the flowers of peace bloom beautifully.
Phổ môn vọng tiếng tiểu dưng bé thơ xuất hiện giữa lòng đóa sen, cơm lộ một giọt rưới lên xuân về trên khắp mọi miền núi sông. Phổ môn vọng tiếng tiểu dưng bé thơ xuất hiện giữa lòng đóa sen, cơm lộ một giọt rưới lên xuân về trên khắp mọi miền núi sông.
Okay, so that will be our teaching for today. And if we have any questions, you can ask them here in the Discord, or you can also ask them through the YouTube channel. And also to share your experience. Partly these are quite serious teachings, quite strong, quite deep. And it's okay. We can experience it and endure it, and we don't need to be afraid. We can feel what there is to feel inside of us at this moment, and we can be mindful with that and gentle with that, and we can offer the sense of love from the mind to the body.
I feel like the little birds are responding for us.
Animals have many special senses and special qualities that we don't know about. Okay, go ahead, Eli. Right, we have a question from Chris on the YouTube. Chris says, sometimes I feel indescribable sensations when meditating. What are they? Well, like you said, they're indescribable sensations. And just let them be indescribable. This constant force that we have behind our natural experience to describe everything usually doesn't give us the chance to really understand or experience what that is that we're aware of. So, for example, the birds are outside the window, they're singing and dancing and flying. And if I were to look at those birds and, to say they're undescribable, well, that's fine. I'm already describing them in a certain way. But then to say they're undescribable and then to attempt to describe them, I'll miss the birds. I'll miss the beauty of the birds. I'll miss the peace of the birds. I'll miss the profundity of the birds as they are. That is even beyond my perceiving of them. And the sensations are also like that. And what I feel is it seems like I don't know why it's so necessary. There are certain things I don't feel why, I don't understand quite yet why the perception of it is like that. But generosity has nothing to do with meeting the desires of other people. Generosity has nothing to do with finding out what someone desires and then giving that to them, right? Or having their desire pushed onto you and then trying to meet that desire. That's not what generosity is about. Generosity is about offering and sharing and giving away what is valuable to us, what we hold on to, what we're tense with. So if you can give away the tension of the body right now, how wonderful. If you can give away, if you can offer out, release the tension in the mind right now, how wonderful. What an act of generosity, what a profound act of giving and sharing. And you can see that this has nothing to do with the desires of other people. Now, meeting the needs of others is a little bit more profound or relevant than meeting the desires of other people. So there's nothing wrong with seeing the needs of others and then trying to help them. That is a generosity. But that has nothing to do with their desires. So like the need that I have for water has nothing to do with my desire for water. Or the need that the body, mind happening has for water has nothing to do with Bante's desire for water. You see? Well, the answer to a lot of our psychological issues, the answer to a lot of our depression, our anxiety, the feeling of lack of living a meaningful life in which we naturally are engaged, is solved through generosity. It's solved through doing actions of generosity. It's solved through doing good deeds, concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So you try that before, convincing yourself that that's not going to work. Any advice on cultivating productivity and peace of mind? Well, it's this constant self-grasping that owns you, that kind of possesses you as if you were like a token or um, like a tribal kind of, iconographic image of yourself, right? It possesses you. And the issue is not that that's real. The issue is that the habit energies or the tendency in the body and mind are fixated, stuck on grasping onto this totem of yourself. And that basically means that you can't do anything besides focus on yourself and focus on what that self wants and what that self doesn't want, and focuses on doing what that self thinks it should do and not doing what that self seems that it shouldn't do. Okay? So, you find a way to make donations. You find a way to do actions of generosity. You find a way to volunteer. You find a way to give away your valuable possessions to others, and that'll fix it. That'll help it. Eli, go ahead. And Sonia, please mute your microphone if you can. Okay, Eli. Seems like your microphone may not be working, Eli. It's okay. I got it, Sonia. Thank you. Eli, seems like you have some difficulties with the microphone. Maybe leave and come back? Or restart the app? Something like that?
Hello?
It's working now.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, first I said thank you, Bante, and to the Sangha very much. I recently suffered a loss of my mother. It was a really interesting sequence of events, the way that it unfolded. I was on vacation with my mother and my brother, and we were together with her, which was a blessing, you know. I can't even to express the gratitude I have to the universe for putting me at least to be there by her side. Some of the ways that it unfolded, my part in it may have been less than dharmic, if you know what I mean. Some of the ways that I had brought her to the hospital when I could sense that she wasn't well. She wasn't somebody who would have gone to the hospital on her own, you know. So I kind of dragged her there in a manner that I personally wouldn't consider the most, dharmic. Yeah. Somebody told me that I should do an act of generosity for my mother, to honor her, and I guess I don't know if I understand generosity the best way. I'm still working on just being more kind, in my actions and not, definitely the experience that I had with my mother and the way that I behaved, you could say, has taught me some great lessons about, the Buddhist path. I wanted to share with you, Bante, that before my mother left, I had the opportunity to just show her a brief you speaking to the Sangha. She got to attend one of these gatherings. So, and she thought you were very nice, and she liked you. Dear Bante.
Thank you, Eli.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share that. Maybe you could speak on generosity for me. What might I do in the spirit of generosity?
Yeah.
For my mom or for all gangs, or to make amends for maybe my past actions. I think that one of the things that I realized is maybe that part of the reason why we come to Buddhism in this life, maybe because we're done with we're done with being a cause for suffering, a large cause for suffering. Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
So, it's really up to you what you do, but it's a little bit like creating a fountain or creating a park in your own heart in dedication or remembrance of your mother. So perhaps find a charity organization that you believe in or that you think they have a very good mission. Then you can make a substantial donation to them in what makes sense to you, and dedicate that act to your mother. Okay.
Within regards to monetary, I think I find a little aversion.
Yeah, because that's what you're most attached to. So that's why you should do it that way, so that the fountain inside of your own heart, concerned with your mother, is a breaking of that attachment, right? The spaciousness of not being attached, or being willing to give up your selfishness and all the justifications that go along with it. So just find an organization that you really believe in, charity group or something. And
perhaps your organization. I'm not sure I know many organizations that I would support personally, but something else I might want to touch on is the attachment to money that it may be deep in my family. I one time gave my mother a hard time for her actions when her mother was removed from her house. A lot of the family members were nitpicky for a few bucks that might be lying around. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, it's normal that we're like that as Americans. Well, I'm an American, so you do it in a way, it's meant to be done in a way that is beautiful, and done in a way that is like you're meeting your faith with being willing to give up what you hold valuable. So it's a beautiful thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to do in a situation like yours, and you dedicate that to your mother, to the heart of her, to her continuation, and maybe you consider what was important to your mother, and do something in line with that. It's a little bit different if we come from like a Buddhist family, then it's more straightforward. But you may have to look more within. What would be meaningful for her to support? Yes, but it's more about like the dedication of generosity, like the dedication of release within yourself that you are offering to your mother. It's almost like sacrifice. Sacrificing of your attachment to embolden the memory of your mother to be connected directly to freedom and letting go and going through those barriers within yourself of grasping and attachment. And her barriers,
I think that moving closer towards the Buddhist path might be a good way to honor the whole experience.
We can dedicate our lives to it. And the master, Sayadaw Tamasara, my teacher, and me will be coming to LA on June 7th, and we'll be there for a few weeks and in America doing Dhamma work. So it's possible you could come to meet the master and talk to him about this as well.
I would be greatly honored. I'm most grateful to you, Bhante, for allowing me the space. And to the Sangha for also being here for me.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we finish with a dedication of the merits, and we'll especially dedicate the merits today that were made, which are many, to Eli's mother. What is the name of your mother, Eli?
My mom's name was Nadine.
Nadine. Okay, so let's all bring our hands together and unmute our microphones if we're here in the Discord, and just speak on your side if you're watching through YouTube, and repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now
May all the merits that we've done till now
be dedicated and shared out.
be dedicated and shared out.
May we offer especially
May we all offer
May we
special
offer especially
to Eli's mother Nadine
to
Eli's mother Nadine
these great merits.
these great merits.
May all beings,
May
all beings,
and may Eli's mother Nadine
and may Eli's mother Nadine
receive,
rejoice,
rejoice, and share in these merits,
and share
share in these merits,
leading to freedom
leading to freedom,
and nowhere else.
and
and
nowhere
nowhere else.
May it be,
may it
May it be,
may it be,
may it be,
may it truly, truly be.
may it truly be.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Sadhu. Sadhu.